We try to bring you an interview, a discussion, something different. And you guys remember the N-word girl. That's the moniker that everyone has given her because it's a white girl that dropped the N-word. Can white girls do that these days? I don't know. You be the judge. But we are going to invite her in for a conversation. So to jog your memory, her name is not, in fact, N-word girl. It's actually Lily Gaddis. And she jumped on the internet cooking some chicken, and she had a bit of a rant. Take a listen.
I'm sick and tired of all girls getting blamed, or like guys, certain guys, thinking that all girls are gold diggers. I don't know if it's because you get your information from those street interviews in like Miami at 3 a.m. outside of a nightclub. You're getting the opinion of some dumb whores and immigrants fresh off the boat looking for a green card. Yes, they are probably gold diggers, but that's the exception. I'm the rule. Everybody I know who's married right now, they're married to broke-ass niggas. And they don't care. We don't give a about your money. I couldn't care less about your money, okay? My type is broke mechanics and surfer hippie dudes who just want to live in a shack and surf and have babies. All I ask of a man is that you're competent, you're not a pussy. If somebody broke into our house at 3 a.m., you would know how to grab a gun and shoot a mother.
And shoot a mother. I don't know. I think that's actually very funny, the end there. What did you guys think? Do you agree with her? Is she totally out of line for dropping the N-word? Is it totally fine that she said it because everyone says it these days in that context? And I guess the biggest question is, does she actually have a point? Are most women not like the women that we're seeing online? That's what we have coming up for you on Candace. All right, guys, so she definitively has a potty mouth. That's what I'm going to term it. But she's also got some good points, I think, and I'd like to hear more from her. She just kind of became an internet sensation, and now she's speaking a little bit about politics, and I just genuinely wanted to know more about Lily Gaddis. She's 25 years old. Lily, welcome to The Candace Show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So I was just asking you offline, but I guess my first question is, how has it been finding internet fame when your first video goes viral? What are you going through? Tell us.
It's kind of strange. You know, you all hear about the same things that happen to people, the doxing, the haters and all that, but you don't really understand it until it actually happens to you. So I think it's definitely very interesting. I've gotten to where I kind of like mute it out now, so it doesn't really bother me, but you know, it's a lot at first. As anyone who's gone through this, as you would know, as anyone else would know who's gone through this, it's a lot. That's for sure.
What has been the most difficult part of internet fame?
I would say the conspiracies and like when people get it so wrong and I'm sitting here listening and I'm like, no, it's so wrong. You don't even know what you're talking about.
It never goes away, by the way. I read a conspiracy about myself. I've learned to enjoy them and appreciate them and I'll like send them around to my family. But I read a conspiracy theory the other day that my husband was Jewish. And that was news to me. I was very excited. I said, oh, this is great. Or I guess, and then sometimes I'll respond to them and I'm like, can you just show me the website where you're getting this information from? Because I would just love to read it. So I do want to talk about your video because it did make a bit of a splash, first and foremost, for two reasons. Was because you said the N-word. I'm a person that actually believes don't put it in the music if people can't say it. You obviously were not directing it at a Black person. You were saying it in the context that everyone says it in their music. So I had no issues with it at all. But the more important part of your video was, I think the main point that you were delivering is that the internet is not real life. Like women are not all what you see on OnlyFans and what you see on your Instagram page. So I'd like to know what motivated the video, what made you suddenly jump up and do what I'm going to term a Candace or a Kanye rant. And what was your mindset and what did you want people to get from it?
So I had been arguing with my brothers that whole day about this because they were like, no, girls are just like whatever, because they listen to these interviews like everyone else, the street interviews that kind of definitely, they're digging from the bottom of the barrel. It's not like you're getting your best and your brightest. And they were up there barbecuing and whatever. So I was like, I went into the kitchen. I started, marinating some chicken wings to put on the grill. And I was like, I got to make a video about this because I'm still pissed. So I made a video about it, got flamed for my cooking skills. And Yeah, and accidentally let a words about that people say in a general sense. But yeah, it turned into something it was not supposed to be. But yeah, it was basically just a backyard rant
Right.
inspired by an angry argument with my brothers.
Well, I would love to hear more about your family, actually, because I don't think many people do know. Where are you from? I think I read online, I don't know if it's true, that you're also a mother. How many siblings do you have? Who actually is Lily Gaddis in her own words?
I would say I'm just kind of a normal Southern, girl, went to college like everybody else, I was homeschooled for part of my high school years. And then I finished off at a private school, had a big family, 4 brothers. I had a lot of fun. I had horses and stuff. So definitely like a country girl to a certain extent. I'm from North Carolina originally. We've moved around a whole lot though. And then I've kind of like landed back here. Love the beach, so I have to be, near there. And I want to raise my son like on the beach as well. And yeah, I have a 2-year-old as well.
Oh, amazing. Okay. So you have a 2-year-old, you're a mom, and I guess that has to shape a lot of your opinions. I know it definitely changed me. It's a seismic shift in your life when you become a parent. And one of the things that concerns me is sort of the presentation of women that we do see online.
Right.
How do you think that you are going to deal with that with your daughter?
Well, it's just one of those things, nobody's perfect, like bottom line. And there's a lot of people who want to set themselves up to be perfect. And then there's a lot of people that put their worst foot forward, like I usually do, because I feel like it's better to not put yourself on a pedestal so you can't get knocked down. But yeah, there's a lot of again, online is not real life. We all know this. You can edit things to make things sound bad or good or whatever. So I think there's a lot of, people are struggling in this country. Just normal, everyday working people are struggling. And they're not the worst people. They're not the OnlyFans girls. That's not all the girls in the world. There's a lot of I have a bunch of friends who are just good girls who went through college. They tried to do the best they could. They're trying to find good husbands and they're trying to raise kids. So my whole point was, just give a little grace because we're not all terrible. It's not everything you see on these, like I said, at 3 a.m. outside of a nightclub, you're not exactly getting the best of the best. So yeah, there's a lot of good people out there. And I think they're not out there putting themselves online. So you don't know it. So it's basically don't be black-pilled. It's not as bad as it actually is.
All right, guys, jumping in here to let you in on a little wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half every single month. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile want you to believe that you need unlimited data so that you can be overcharged. But here's the fact. Most of you are buying way more data than you actually will ever need. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, only charges you for the data that you actually want. Listen to this. For just $25 a month, you can get unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data plus a mobile hotspot. Do you know what you could do with 5 gigs of data? A lot. You can browse the internet for 135 hours, you can stream 1,000 songs, or you can watch 10 hours of Candace videos. Stop overpaying for wireless and get 5G coverage with Pure Talk. Go to puretalk.com/Owens. Switching is very easy. There's no contract, no activation fee. You can even keep your phone and your phone number. Again, that's puretalk.com/Owens. And you'll save an additional 50% off your first month with Pure Talk. That's a great way of putting it. And I do think that inevitably what happens is you take the red pill and then you sort of take the black pill and then you kind of need to come back to reality. And even for me, when I was watching your video, I did have to check myself because you can become sort of terminally online. And the conversations you're having, it's like, wait a second, I have 2 sisters. My sisters are married to totally regular people. I mean, these girls that I'm seeing on OnlyFans, obviously, this is not who the regular person is. And I thought that was actually a really strong point that you delivered. Unfortunately, you're on the internet. There's going to be absolutely no grace afforded to you. They're going to tear apart every piece of your life. I already see people saying, she's a single mom. What does she know about conservatism? So I wanted to give you a platform first and foremost to talk about that in a way that you shouldn't feel attacked. I think it's completely absurd, this idea that they want people held up on a pedestal and they want to believe that their lives are perfect. Life is complicated. I have transformed so much, even from my positions. Being a conservative in the public sphere, the things that I have said have changed and people have a right to transform. So how did you become a single mom? Were you married in the past or are you married now? What is your circumstance?
Right. Well, it was just one of those things, it's a bad relationship gone awry, unfortunately. We're not together, so I am, single. I've never been married, but it's just one of those things, people make mistakes and you start out in life I want to wait till marriage and whatever. And then life happens and it just doesn't work out, But I think I don't appeal to people who really have all their stuff together, But I do appeal to middle America who, they aren't perfect. They have made mistakes and they're trying to do the best they can. Because bottom line, I mean, even as a Christian, it's like, we're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect. That's why God had to come down and die on the cross for us, ultimately. So I think I can be as a good funnel for just your normal middle America to get into conservatism, because I'm an easier person to relate with just because I'm not perfect, and I have had stuff go wrong. And I can even be a voice for women who, they do get pregnant and don't choose abortion. Like I had lots of people telling me, oh my gosh, just get an abortion. Don't tell anybody else, and that's an easy way out. But I think I'm happy that the way things have turned out the way they are. It's not perfect, obviously, but I think I can appeal to a lot more people that way just because, it's easy to relate to someone who hasn't had everything go right. So if I can help bring middle America to conservative America, I think that would be, doing something good for the country.
Yeah, and I do think that there is that conflict. You conservatives were pro-life, but I started my life pro-choice, just to be clear. And I changed my mind later on, and I knew girls that were getting abortions. And it's funny because then you see someone who gets a platform accidentally, like you quite accidentally got a platform. Mm-hmm. This obviously went viral. And then conservatives will instantly hold your feet to the fire and be like, this is not a conservative. She has a child out of wedlock. And it's like, wait a second. But we also believe that you should choose life. And we know that life is not perfect. And there is this pressure that they instantly want to believe that you can become perfect overnight if you have a platform. And it's better to just be authentic about who you are and to give yourself the grace to transform over the years. And I find that to be problematic. And I've tried to communicate that even to my own audiences, because I try to explain to people, I would love if, I'll give a perfect example. I think Ali Stuckey's like a perfect person. Like her life, she comes from like a 2-parent household. I listened to her podcast. She's talking about the Bible. She's married. She's got a husband that loves her. But the reality is I would have never become a conservative if the first person I listened to was Ali Stuckey. And so I've tried to communicate to people, as someone who comes from a broken family, my parents are divorced, that it's easier for men to listen to Andrew Tate, right, as a starting point, because he's just going to be more relatable. He's just going to be more relatable. And he's obviously not talking about family, and he's not talking about, God and things like that, but he is talking about, financial positions, whatever it is. You have to be able to think of it as almost a staircase. You know what I mean? And exactly. I just am not sure that conservatives are understanding that. You definitely did, though, highlight that there is a neocon movement. That's what people are terming it. And you had some choice words. Do you want to speak about that? Because I think a lot of conservatives recognize that there is something that is in our movement that is operating as though it's conservative, but it actually isn't conservative at all.
Right. Well, that's the business side of it, and the problem with fame and power and money and stuff is it does corrupt people. So, lots of people come in here well-intentioned or whatever, and then you get these offers, you get in with a certain group of people, and you want to stay in their good graces. And that makes sense. Like, we are herd animals, kind of. We do want to have a team. We do want to be in the good graces of that team. But again, that comes with the downside if there's a lot of corruption. And I see with a lot of mainstream conservatives, usually if you're not very censored, that should set off some red flags, because it's like, why is that the case? And not to rag on any particular one, because I hate to punch right, because we need more unity in the right wing. But at the same time, you have to call out when you do see that something is wrong, and people are not necessarily fighting for America, but it's more just like either a little Hollywood thing going on, and it's for the money or the claim, or if they're promoting some sort of messaging because they've been paid by some, who knows, a foreign entity or for whatever reason. But there's just because the normal people don't see that. And I didn't realize that that's how it was until I kind of got thrown into this world. I was like, wow, there's a lot of fake stuff going on. It's not what it seems like on the outside. And when you look in, you're like, wow, there's, we need genuine people. We need more independent people. We need less clubs and groups. We need more independent people actually out there fighting for America, because bottom line, we're the middle America is the one getting screwed over by all this. Lots of people are making lots of money, but they're not really helping. It's just good talking points, and they're not really addressing the actual issues.
Right. And they're also, I think, they get to a point where they have made so much money that they just don't want to threaten that security.
Right.
And so even if they see things that are happening that are wrong, they will allow it to happen, and they'll sit by either idly or they're participating in it because there's an opportunity for them to make more money if they get involved in that thing. And so I always encourage my audience, make sure you're constantly auditing. Even me, I'm like, I've been around for 8 years. I've changed over those years. I've become a mother. You make sure, or does she still believe in the things that we believe? And we saw that this week. I don't know if you had followed this, but Michaela Peterson, who I actually had never followed, Dr. Peterson's daughter, but she comes out with a very wild statement about we need censorship of the word filth. Now, she has since slightly walked it back, but still says that, well, if you say filth about an entire group of people, I still disagree with her. But that's a problem. And people were like, no, don't go after like the Peterson family because they've contributed such goodness. It's like that doesn't go away. Like I'm very happy that there was goodness contributed. But if now the talking point is going to be that we need censorship because there's a topic that I feel sensitive about, we have to audit that because we need to be conservatives always, not just when our friends become leftists, we just stay quiet about it,
Mm-hmm. And I can understand that because I've even kind of experienced that a little bit myself. Just, you start to get like some people that are on your team and you're like, oh, this is kind of nice. I'm not alone or whatever. And then you kind of feel yourself being like, oh, do I really want to touch on that topic? Because that might piss them off. And then you got to check yourself and be like, oh man, I'm falling into that kind of rut. And yeah, I totally understand that. And like I said earlier, well-intentioned people, they can start off great. And then it ends up, they fall into that rut and you have to call that out. And you can't be so worried about like trying to, capitulate and please them and not piss anybody off that you don't speak the truth. Because, we're supposed to be the firebrands out here because middle America's sitting back hoping we're doing the fighting for them. But if there's no fighting going on along, then we've already lost.
Who are some of the voices that you trust in media? If there are any, by the way.
I would say, I don't really know.
That's fine.
Any that I actually trust because I don't know any people personally. Mm-hmm. I know that I've listened to the Gavin McInnes show. I like him a lot. I like you, obviously. And, I respect people that I see can put aside the money and they can lose things and they can get fired and they don't care to lose that comfortable position because to me, that's how I gauge if somebody's, legit or not. So yeah, it's very, very few people out there, but yeah, I have definitely met some that I feel like they've been consistent. And even if they've changed a little bit, they don't care if they alienate people because they have their truth or whatever, and they're going to stick to that no matter what.
Yeah. I think that takes a lot of courage. And it's one of the reasons why I love Tucker Carlson, that he's just been like, don't care, goodbye, like saying whatever I think and, willing to have on Alex Jones and Andrew Tate, because I think what a lot of times the media does is they create this club. And this goes back to what you were saying, that these are dweebs. Like, why are we listening to them? But they're basically like, if you want a seat at the table of dweebs, then you can't talk to Andrew Tate, And it's like, wait a second, I would way rather speak to someone like Andrew Tate than talk to you. Like, so exactly. I always have to remind myself of that. Oh, actually, not really, because it comes quite naturally to me, because I'm just like, there is nothing about you that I like. I mean, I find you to be, they tweet like weasels, you know what I mean? You just hurt my feelings, and I'm just not into it at all. And so I did very much like your video when you were talking about that. Like, why are we allowing these losers to dictate what we think and what we feel and what we say with their it's propaganda. I mean, they just gang up and they all text each other. I know this for a fact. And they're in a group chat and they're like, let's go after this person and take this clip out of context and say she's supporting this. And in the past, I think the American people followed that. And I think now they're kind of going, wait a second, you're liars. And worse than that, you're losers.
I know. I said it in a very crass way. But there is a general point behind everything I said, like the loser thing. Everybody was coming for me for the getting laid in high school, and I'm not promoting sleeping around, okay? But I will say it's a general principle that there are certain people that don't get what they see the top people getting, and they do get a chip on their shoulder, and that chip on their shoulder does carry into adulthood. Like, you do see that. The way that you were raised or whatever, how you were developed when you were younger, it does carry over into adult life. And you do notice patterns, and you do start to see that. You're like, wow, the weird people in high school, this isn't to say that they were, dumb. They're usually very smart people. And now they are the Bill Gates. Now they are those Zuckerbergs, and they're the people telling us what to say and what to think. And that's a problem.
Are you overwhelmed with back taxes or struggling with unfiled returns? With 20,000 new hires, the IRS has stepped up enforcement since the end of COVID relief programs, issuing millions of pay-up notices in 2024. If you're worried about IRS collection tactics, there's no need to face them alone. Tax Network USA can help you. Tax Network USA is the nation's premier tax relief firm with a history of negotiating over $1 billion in tax relief for clients. They offer a range of services, including penalty forgiveness, hardship programs, where you might not have to repay anything until your tax debt expires. And they even offer in-compromise solutions for lump sum settlements. So whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team of experts is prepared to assist you. Even if you're behind on your taxes due to missing personal or business records, Tax Network USA can guide you through the process of catching up. Listen, tax season is over. And for the IRS, that means that collection season has begun. So contact Tax Network USA for personalized support with your tax issues. Handling IRS matters without professional help is risky. Protect your financial security by seeking guidance from Tax Network USA. Their experts provide strategic advice on reducing or eliminating your tax debt. To schedule a complimentary consultation, call 1-800-245-6000 or visit tnusa.com/Candace. Don't let the IRS's aggressive tactics control your life. Empower yourself with Tax Network USA support and take charge of your financial future. Visit tnusa.com/Candace. I absolutely agree with you. And I was just having this discussion offline because there are kind of competing ideas of what women should be doing. And I was explaining to someone why I wanted to have you on the show, because I actually always think about that when I'm meeting people. The first question I ask myself is, who were they in high school? Because for some reason, high school leaves an indelible mark on people. And I find that the people who were complete losers in high school, who find fame later on, they hold on to it in a way that's like, it means everything to them. So they will do anything to be like allowed to be in the cool club. They will like say anything to be in the cool club. And that's actually not good, right? Because it doesn't give you, you don't have real confidence. And I'm not talking about people, like I'm not talking about like smart kids. I'm talking about people that just were severely bullied. I tend to see that in politics, that then when they get a little bit of power, they kind of go a little bit crazy. And they're constantly dictating to people what they should or should not be doing. And it's just not helpful. And I think going into any career or any space that you're going to be in, particularly the public one where you're getting a lot of feedback, you have to have fundamental confidence in who you are. And not be able to be easily swayed, because that's what it is. It's kind of like the recreation of high school, where it's like, who's going to be your clique? Just like you said, if you want to sit over here, you want to do this is what we need you to say. We need to say, peddle this one line. And it's people that really have confidence that will stand up to it and say, no, actually, I'm just not going to do that.
Right. And that's why I think it's so important how, like, you raise your kids, make sure, put them in sports, it does give them confidence. It gives them stamina. They work hard. They're in with a better group of people that, they care about improving themselves. It's not about, oh, poor, pitiful me. It's because that's where that victim culture has all come from. It does start when you're young, and you learn and you're like, oh, if I can, complain to teacher or whatever, I get some extra brownie points. And so that's where the victim culture starts. Versus the people who didn't play the victim, and they were like, if they lost a race, it was on them because they didn't train or whatever. So yeah, I think definitely if we can try to get this next generation raised right, they're raised outside, they're not on the phones, they're not being indoctrinated as much, and they are actually out doing competitive sports and just interacting with themselves in a good way, and maybe being punished for being a crybaby like I was. But that's a good thing.
Yeah, you have 4 brothers, so there's no question you were just being pummeled the whole time. I mean, and I think it does help to grow up with siblings. Yeah, exactly. But it is good. This is why I believe you have to grow up with siblings, because when people are pointing us up on the internet, I'm like, me and my sisters used to just beat the crap out of each other all the time. So I'm just, I've got a bit of a thicker skin. I was constantly calling my sister names. I was telling her she was fat, she was worthless. I mean, like the things that we say to each other as siblings, and me and my sisters are a year and a half apart. It is character building, like surviving even amongst siblings, and then surviving in high school and deciding who you are. It helps. And I think part of it is that we do have this coddle culture in America. And when coddle culture then becomes the media, it's a huge problem.
Right. Well, and unfortunately with situations like politics, and there's so many positions that attract a certain type of people that want to have that kind of power over defenseless people. You see it with school teachers. A lot of times, you have good school teachers, but you have a lot of people that are attracted to those positions because it's a kind of a power box. They have a lot of power over kids that have to listen to them. Same with politics. So that's why I think we see so many of those kinds of people in those positions.
Right. Absolutely. So I have to ask, Lily, where to next? What are the offers you're getting? What's happening in your inbox? I know you're probably getting everything from people saying, I want to marry you, to people accusing you of being a part of some conspiracy. That is the beauty of internet fame. So what is actually next for you?
I'm not sure. Like right now, like I said, this wasn't a planned thing. Like if it had been a planned thing, I would have like a goal. But right now, I'm just kind of just doing the same thing I was. I'm still just putting out the videos and talking. And if people relate to it, that's awesome. And if not, I'll try to find something else. But right now, I'm just trying to figure out where do I go from here.
Right.
I think I'm going to be doing a show with the Censored.tv. So that's Gavin McInnes's network. So that'll be fun. I think that's a great crowd of people. So that's something, in the works. But yeah, we're just winging it at this point, to be honest.
Gavin was one of the first shows that I did. He's great. He's such a kind person, always has been one. So you'll have fun there. You should definitely also think about getting involved with some pro-life charities, because like I said, these are the stories people need to hear. And it's something that we should be welcoming. And by the way, what is your normal job? What is your normal, so to speak, job?
Right. Well, it was a marketing position. I had just graduated college and I got the entry level marketing position and then I lost it. So
very nice.
Right now I'm currently unemployed. Okay.
Well, you know what? God's got a plan for you. So don't worry about it. When things happen. Sometimes when you get fired, it's okay.
It's a good thing. It can be a good thing.
Lily, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope that in the future, I definitely want to have you down. We're still figuring things out here at the studio, but it would be great to have just like a panel of women talking about female issues and different perspectives, because I think people do need to hear more real world perspectives, as you say, and not just believing that the internet is real life. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that discussion. I hope it's provided more clarity as to who Lily Gaddis is so we can retire the moniker, the N-word girl. It's all we have. Please head to clubcandace.com, support us that way, or go to locals.com, become a one-time donor, a monthly donor. Keep the show and the conversation free and unrestricted.